Riku and Kihara Ryuichi from 5th place after the short program to the first Japanese pair ever to win this event at the Olympic Winter Games.
Before the spring of 2019, the country of Japan had never finished higher than 14th in pair skating at any Winter Olympic Games. Japan had legends in singles, Mao Asada, Shoma Uno, the great Yuzuru Hanyu, but in pairs, the entire history of the country was a long stretch of withdrawals and last places. That spring, 2 skaters in particular were preparing to lead the discipline. One was a 17-year-old from Hyogo whose partnership had just collapsed. The other was a 26-year-old veteran from Aichi who had walked away from a third partner after a head injury and was packing up his career. 7 years later, in February of 2026, the same 2 skaters stood on top of an Olympic podium in Milano. They had just won the highest pair of free skate score the modern judging system had ever recorded. They had given Japan its first Olympic title in pair skating. 2 months after that, they retired together. This is the story of Riku Miura and Ryuichi Kihara. Riku Miura was born in Takarazuka in Hyogo Prefecture on December 17, 2001. She started in singles and switched to pairs at age 12 after meeting Canadian coach Bruno Marcotte at a federation seminar. With her first partner Shoya Ichihashi, she finished 10th at the 2018 World Junior Championships in Sofia. By the end of the 2018 to 2019 season, the partnership was over and Riku was looking for somebody else. Ryuichi Kihara had been searching for a long time by then. He was born on August 22, 1992 in Ichinomiya, Aichi Prefecture, and he started skating before his 4th birthday. By the spring of 2019, he had been to 2 Winter Olympics. He skated in Sochi in 2014 with Narumi Takahashi, who had given Japan its only previous world pair medal. He skated in Pyeongchang in 2018 with Miu Suzaki, and they missed the free program. A training accident that year gave him a concussion severe enough to end the partnership. His partner left the sport. Ryuichi, at 26, was deciding whether to do the same. May 2019, Nagoya, Japan. The Japan Skating Federation organized a pair skating seminar and asked Marcotte to fly in and run it. He arrived with Riku, who had no partner. Waiting at the rink was Ryuichi, who had no future in the sport. Marcotte's proposition was simple: 1 tryout before either of them gave the discipline away. They moved to Oakville, Ontario, west of Toronto, and joined the Skate Oakville Skating Club under Marcotte, his wife Megan Duhamel, an Olympic team event champion from the year before, and senior coach Brian Shales. Marcotte had built the only previous Japanese pair to medal at a senior world championships, Takahashi and Mervyn Tran, who took bronze in 2012. He had been waiting 11 years for another chance like it. The first competitive season, 2019 to 2020, was the beginning. They finished 5th at the NHK Trophy in Sapporo. They won a national title that no other pair contested. They placed 8th at 4 continents in Seoul. The Montreal World Championships were cancelled in March by the pandemic. Marcotte has said the lockdown turned out to be the best thing that could have happened to the team. Going home was impossible. The 2 were stuck in a country that was not theirs, in a city neither had chosen, with nothing but the work and one another. For nearly a year, the rink was their entire world. When competition resumed, the climb started. They finished 10th at the 2021 World Championships in Stockholm, a result that earned Japan a 2nd Olympic pair spot, something the country had never had before. A silver at Skate America that autumn, a bronze at NHK. The Grand Prix final was cancelled by Omicron, and then Beijing. At the 2022 Olympic team event, Riku and Ryuichi won the free skate. Japan was placed 3rd. 2 years later, after the Court of Arbitration disqualified the Russian skater Kamila Valieva, that medal was upgraded to silver. A heartbreaking mistake that dropped them into 8th place heading into the free skate. But the story was far from over. The highest Olympic finish a Japanese pair had ever achieved. A month after Beijing, in Montpellier at the World Championships, they took silver, only the 2nd pair from Japan ever to medal at the senior world stage. The first had been Marcotte's previous students a decade earlier, Takahashi and Tran. The same Canadian coach had now produced 2 different Japanese world pair medalists. The 2022 to 2023 season was the breakthrough, the one that announced what Riku and Ryuichi could actually do at the very top of the sport. Their Grand Prix series opened at Skate Canada in late October. They won, the first Grand Prix gold a Japanese pair team had ever held. NHK Trophy in November on home ice also went to them. The Grand Prix final came to Torino in December, and they beat the reigning world champions Alexa Knierim and Brandon Fraser by just over a point, the country's first Grand Prix final title in pairs. February brought the Four Continents in Colorado Springs, where they became the first Japanese pair ever to win the Continental title, March 22nd and 23rd, 2023. The World Championships came home to Saitama. The short program was a tango. Riku and Ryuichi scored 80.72, a personal best. The free skate had 2 visible errors, including a fall on a throw triple loop. The combined total was 222.16, and it was enough. They had become world champions on Japanese soil, the first Japanese pair ever to win a world title in figure skating. The audience at Saitama Arena had been waiting for that moment for half a century, and then the body broke. In the summer of 2023, Ryuichi was diagnosed with lumbar spondylosis, a degenerative condition in the lower spine. The team withdrew from every Grand Prix assignment they held and from the Japanese championships. The reigning world champions could not skate. For the first time since 2019, there was a real question about whether the partnership had a future at all. They returned in February of 2024 and took silver at Four Continents in Shanghai. A month later in Montreal, at the World Championships, the title slipped. A Canadian pair, Diana Stellato-Dudek and Maxime Deschamps, took the championship by 3.5 points. The two of them had been Marcotta's training partners. The crown had been passed inside the same coaching room. The next year was a reclamation. Skate America in October of 2024 went to them. NHK Trophy a few weeks later went to a new Georgian pair, Anastasia Metelkina and Luka Berulava, the team that would shadow them through the rest of the partnership. The Grand Prix final in Grenoble was Germany's, won by Minerva Heze and Nikita Volodin. February of 2025 brought another Four Continents title in Seoul. In late March of 2025, the World Championships came to Boston. They went into the free skate close to the German team and finished closer still. 0.7 of a point separated the two pairs at the end of the night. Riku and Ryuichi reclaimed the world title by the smallest margin of their career. The Olympic year began in September of 2025 and ended in April of 2026. Every competition in between was preparation for one program on one night in northern Italy. They swept the autumn, beating France by 21 points, winning Skate America in Lake Placid, and then claiming a second Grand Prix final title in Nagoya. At the Japanese Championships short program warm-up, Riku dislocated her shoulder. They competed the short anyway, won that segment, and withdrew from the rest of the event to focus on her recovery. Japan named them to the Olympic team without hesitation. A month and a half later, they boarded a plane to Italy. The Milano Cortina figure skating program opened with the team event on February 6, 2026. Riku and Ryuichi set personal bests in both segments, 82.84 in the short, 155.55 in the free. Japan finished second behind the United States, a second consecutive Olympic team medal. The individual pairs event began on February 15th at the Milano Ice Skating Arena. Their short program went wrong on a single element. On an axle lift, Ryuichi set Riku down a beat before he meant to. The timing of the lift collapsed. The judges marked it a level 2 with negative grade of execution. The score was 73.11, the worst short program performance the team had put up in 15 months. They were in 5th place, almost 7 points back, with one chance left to do everything the season had been built to do. What came next was the 4.5 minutes that defined their career. The program had been choreographed by a Canadian named Ali Han McCurdy, set to music from the Gladiator soundtrack with vocals by the Italian tenor Andrea Bocelli. Riku and Ryuichi skated 4.5 minutes that did not contain a single visible mistake. Every throw landed cleanly, every lift held its level, every jump was rotated. The final pose came down in silence before the arena rose. The score arrived a minute later, 158.13, a record. Under the international scoring system that has governed pair skating since 2018, no pair team had ever earned a higher free skate number. The previous mark, held by a Russian team since the 2022 European Championships, had stood for almost 4 years. Riku and Ryuichi's combined total was 231.24. They had won the Olympic title by more than 9 points over Metelkina and Berulava of Georgia. The Germans, Hasse and Volodin, took the bronze. Japan had its first Olympic title in pair skating and the country's first Olympic figure skating gold of any kind since Yuzuru Hanyu's 8 years earlier. The win also completed what the sport calls a career Golden Slam: Olympic gold, World gold, Grand Prix final gold, and Continental gold. It made Riku and Ryuichi only the second Japanese skaters in history to do it, after Yuzuru himself. The retirement announcement came on the 17th of April 2026 in a joint statement posted in Japanese and in English. They had withdrawn from the World Championships in Prague 3 weeks earlier, and the retirement made the withdrawal final. They were leaving the sport as the reigning Olympic champions and the reigning record holders. At a Tokyo press conference on the 28th, the pair confirmed that the decision had been made a year before in Boston and kept between the two of them.
三浦陸、木原陸は今シーズンをもちまして現役を何か困った時にいつも助けてくださる方々が僕たちの周りにはその方々のおかげで自分たちはここまで来ることができました。本当にありがとうございました。
Next would come a pair skating academy backed by the Kinoshita Group and the work of building the next generation themselves, already arriving with Yuna Nagaoka and Sumitada Moriguchi, qualifying the second Olympic spot in Milano that had not existed 7 years before. 7 years earlier, two skaters had walked into a Nagoya rink at the end of their separate careers. Neither had asked to meet the other. Neither had any reason to believe a single afternoon could change anything. They left that day with a coach in common, a country in common, and a partnership that had no reason yet to exist. What they built across the 7 seasons that followed was something more elemental than romance. The trust on display in every overhead lift was, for two skaters of their size, simply how the sport could be done at all. Audiences watching from anywhere in the world understood, without needing it explained, what was being asked of both each time the music began. Japan had never finished higher than 14th in pair skating at the Olympic Games. For one night in Milano, the country finished first. That night belonged to Riku and Ryuichi. They gave the sport every season they had, and they walked out of competition at the very top of it, together. The way they had walked in 7 years earlier, with nothing left to prove and a country watching. Thank you for staying with Riku and Ryuichi to the end. Their story was the kind that almost never happened. 2 failed careers, a country with no history in the discipline, an Olympic title no one in 2019 had any reason to predict. I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe, because that's what allows me to run a channel dedicated solely to figure skating. See you in the next video.